Hey, yeah, what's up? This is Cypher Marshall Occurrence. Rain back up in this anti-Illuminati all day, anti-America all day. As you know the reasons. It's no mystery. So, this video right here is basically going to be about the different types of triggers that the American community is using. The different types of triggers that the American community is using. So, in warfare, in psychological warfare, 101 is understanding triggers. Anything to for okay, psychological war, it affects the mind. So they're trying to trigger your mind. That's a 7. They're gonna try to trigger your mind as much as they can in any way possible. Okay. So when you're aware of the enemy, whether it be secret societies, the government, street politics, the hood try to trigger people too. They try to see where your head is at, try to see where you're at in your mind, honestly, as of fall 2022, autumn 2022, whichever one you prefer to use for the season of autumn or fall, which whenever you want to use, no one here has the integrity and character to be able to test or trigger anybody. That's a 7. That's why we headed towards anarchy. No one has the character and integrity to be putting pressure on anybody or pressing up on anybody. That's why all you hood politicking people, all you hood politicians, ain't none of y'all got enough integrity and character to press up on anybody. So who are you? Who are you testing anybody? In other words. So I'm gonna go through all the different types of triggers. I'm gonna go through a handful of them. I'm gonna do I might actually do like a glossary of different types of triggers and the things that I've found out from experiences, because there's many different types of triggers. There's a lot of them. There's a lot of specifics, and I want to dig into all of them, the crust of them. You know what I mean? But right now, I'm gonna give you the basics, the basic different types of triggers that secret societies may be using, different communities within America may be using, the American government, military, they may be using. They're all going to use different types of triggers, because right now it's easier to try to make someone suicidal and depressed than killing them, because now we live in a sophisticated society as far as technologies that can find out who killed who. So what this society in America is doing is trying to use a host of different triggers, hoping that you commit suicide. Okay, see, because one of the foundational reasons they're using triggers is to create a certain perspective, self perspective, that is evil in your own mind. So they're trying to make you see yourself differently in order for you to be suicidal. You know what I'm saying? So when you understand this, you've won half the battle. Now they're intentionally trying to do it. Now you know what they want you to do. Now you know what they're trying to get you to do. So that's one of the foundational reasons they even use triggers in the first place. They're hoping that you commit suicide, hoping that you become depressed or even kill someone and go to jail. One or the other. But what would be most ideal is they hoping that you commit suicide. So long as you understand that, the intentions of your enemies in this country, then you'll be fine, because you'll catch yourself before you even get anywhere close to it. Okay? So I'm just going to go through a handful of type of triggers that you have. You have visible triggers. This is one of their favorites. And as far as secret societies, one of their favorites is visible triggers. As soon as you come outside, you see this, you see that, you see that. That's all fake. That's all triggers. That's all triggers. If it's too perfect, it's triggers, I guarantee you. It's a visible trigger. If you turn a corner and you see something that that is defining of the type of character that they're trying to get you to be, that's a trigger. So, for instance, you're not racist against black people, right? But let's just say if they're trying to create that image, right? You might hit a corner and then you see a whole bunch of people with dreads and African shirts on. Now you think that's normal, but they're trying to trigger you. They're trying to see if you're racist. You have to be aware of this. There's different types of character images that they're trying to get you to match up to. And so they'll try to put visible triggers out there to see how you respond to it. That's a 7. So if they're suspecting you of being racist towards Mexicans, blacks, even whites, they might put those different types of races around the corner or just in funny ways, having you interact with them in funny ways. Those are all triggers. You got sound campaigns. This is another one they like to use. Now, the sound campaigns go deep because they can use telepaths and psychics to speak to the mind. That's a sound campaign too. They can use cars, honking of horns at certain times based on your thoughts, and it just to trigger you. So they honk the horn right as the telepath is looking into your thought process, and that's meant to trigger you. You hear certain songs, you hear certain babies crying, anything. They're trying to trigger you to a certain image. So, for instance, if they're trying to create a pedophile image of you to the society, then you might see just weird situations with babies crying, babies chirping and yelling and screaming out of nowhere. Those are all sound triggers. Okay? Pay no mind to it. God knows where your mind is at. He knows what you will do and won't do. They've created these triggers. You know, they're playing trigger games. And that's what they like to do. Use a lot of different sound triggers. Smell triggers even. They will use smell triggers. They will have race triggers, like I told you. You might, a certain race they think you don't like, they're going to put that in your face over and over again to trigger you. It may be specific individual campaigns. They may know certain information on you, and they'll use that within your daily routine to trigger you. Maybe an old, job or something that happened at the old job. Any kind of information on you, if you feel like it's something from your past that's being put before you in the form of people, it's probably that's probably a trigger campaign. Regional campaigns. There's regional campaigns too. If you're from a certain place, they might trigger you with that. They might trigger you with the opposite of where you're from. Those are, and regional can go really deep. It could be out the country. For example, I have alliance I like Russia. So there might be someone that comes along with a whole bunch of American flags. That ain't nothing but triggers because I like Russia. That's a 7. So when you understand this, you understand their why all of this is looking strange. All they work almost like a flash mob. You remember what flash mobs are? That's what a lot of you guys need to look up. Flash mobs, because that's all they're doing. They doing what they're basically moving like flash mobs. They communicate with each other by phone. They meet each other at a certain place, but they meet there to campaign against you with triggers and all different types of situations. So they may tell, X amount of people, we're going to meet here, we're going to meet there. The person is there, the target is there, da, 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 and they're all going there to trigger you. Okay? You got to understand it. This is real. This is the society. This is the society that exists now in America. I don't know about the past. I just know about now. See, so that's why some of y'all will never believe, because you stuck on the past and you just can't believe that a world has evolved to this. Well, could you believe that black people start killing black people after all this stuff that happened with slavery? But nevertheless, that's the reality, right? You have to accept certain things. You have to accept all things as they are. You have to accept, what is, what really exists, the real reality. So they're using a host of triggers to trigger people, and long as you're aware of the triggers and you're close to God, he will always wiggle you out of every trap, every psychological image. They also have psychological images that they can flash into your brain and into your to the site of your brain, like as if a thought, and you see a image through a thought. That's a trigger. They can send baby images to your head, pornographic images to your head, all types of disgusting stuff. Urine, feces. These are all triggers to ultimately get you to become suicidal. See, when you're aware of it, it doesn't work. It doesn't work. Now, see, for me, my enemies, the ones that tried to get me to commit suicide, it didn't work. And guess what they're doing? They're killing themselves. This country is killing themselves. They're killing their own children. They're killing themselves. You cursed yourself trying to curse me. So be aware of the triggers that they use. They're using all type of psychological triggers. Oh, on TV, be aware of that. All the commercials, triggers. Triggers, definitely triggers. And see, there's a thin line between being, psychologically unsound and really knowing the stuff on TV are triggers. They have access to all of that. That's how you know the government is involved. That's how you know they're involved, because they have access to you. They have access to trigger with commercials and things that's on TV. That's how you know the government is involved. Yeah. Think about it. You don't go that high using triggers on TV unless it's the government. And they'll make you feel like you crazy. Anytime you go to a questionnaire place and they ask you stuff like, do you hear this and do you see this? Is that on this? Don't pay no attention to that. That's all designed. That questionnaire is designed to make you feel that you're crazy. Meanwhile, the military is definitely, this country is definitely using psychological war, which means they're going to pop up in most places that where your mind is attentive to. which would be TV. If they didn't pop up on TV, you would have a way of escape. That's a 7. Al. If their forces were not on TV, you would have a way of escape. You would watch TV all day because you're escaping the triggers. You're escaping the psychological triggers. They work to try to give you no place of refuge mentally. It's in the music, YouTube, Facebook. You see all these weird commercials. You see stuff on your timelines, especially on Facebook. All those, like a lot of the timeline stuff that's on there, that's triggers. Even if it's from friends or people you added, be very watchful with who you add on Facebook. They could be trigger people that's trying to trigger you. Okay, and they have ads on there. Like I see abnormal ads in places that just don't make sense. Like for example, you might have a baby ad on like an adult website. Like who, like, and it contradicts it. It might be like it might even be a something that is inappropriate for children to be on. And yet you have a baby ad right in the middle of some website. It's a pop-up ad. That's a trigger. Because they know if you feel like this is the number one image they like to use is the pedophile image. The reason why they like to use the pedophile image, because first of all, no one accepts it in your society. There's no one that accepts the pedophiles. They might accept criminals, thugs, serial killers. There's some people that find that appealing. There's some people that give them compassion and even love, but not pedophiles. So that is one of the most toxic images that they would try to begin to condition you with. They'll start making you feel like you're this way, but all they're doing is bumping up against you with triggers and then reversing it as if, and are psychologically reversing it to where you feel like you did something wrong. It's not your conscience. It's nothing wrong with you if they're intentionally doing it. Now I can't speak for everybody. There's some of you that you need medication. You think stuff that is there that's not there. You can't prove it, and you've been talking about stuff and they ain't been adding up. I'm not talking about that crowd. I'm talking about the crowd that's really going through wars with secret societies and the American government. They definitely will be trying to trigger you. They would definitely be trying to trigger you psychologically. And ideal would be that you would kill yourself. When you're aware of this, then no image that they try to put in your mind of yourself is going to work. So what if they think you're a pedophile? Can they prove it? Have they ever proved it? Then you don't even need to worry about it. God already know what they're doing. So if your mind is weak and you and something comes across your mind, don't worry about that. Keep moving, because God already know these people been trying to trigger you and play with you this whole time. You think He's gonna let you fall because you had a slip of thought or something cross your mind that you don't really know how it crossed your mind? Don't even worry about that. You just become in tune with your brain to understand yourself. Become in tune with your brain to understand yourself. So when something crosses your mind and it doesn't seem familiar, that's the psychological technology that they have, whether it be spiritual or tangible, that they're using to trigger you. And like I said, the effect of it, the ideal effect that these people want is that you become suicidal. So long as you know this, and that's why God is not punishing, He's not punishing these people that's going through this. If you're going through that, He ain't gonna punish you. He gonna punish them. And it's gonna be so bad, because the bad part about it, if you create bad karma as far as psychological war, that karma, that psychological karma is gonna be so terrible. In other words, if you're trying to get somebody to lose their mind, are you trying to break somebody's mind? Are you trying to make them suicidal? If you're trying to do any of that, the psychological karma is gonna be so horrible, and it's gonna affect more than you. When you do big uh, campaigns of negativity, most likely it spills onto other people and innocent people. That's a 7. I know you thought it would only be you. Well, unfortunately, karma doesn't play fair like that. It's gonna be you, and it's gonna be other innocent people that have to suffer because of the psychological games that you're playing. Otherwise, if it just came to you, then you wouldn't stop. If it comes to other innocent people, I guarantee you're gonna stop. You're gonna stop because it's too much blood on your hands for you to even survive. They're ready to kill themselves because they got too much blood on their hands. That's what's wrong with them now. All these secret society, all these Americans, they've been triggering people, playing games with people. Now they're getting detriment to their country, and now they're suicidal. Now they don't want to live. It's funny how things work out, ain't it? Now they're the ones that don't want to live. Well, they set out to do you like that. Why would you, that's how it is. They set out to do you like that. And now they're paying the price. Now they feeling that way about themselves. That's how that works. And then people they know gonna feel that way about themselves. That's how that works. Yeah, you can't do any and everything. You can't do it. So just be aware of the psychological triggers they use. I'm not saying ignore. Just guard your mind. Because ignoring may not work to your advantage. Now, if you can see stuff through your peripherals without looking dead onto it, like for instance, if they're trying to trigger you with old people to see if you are attracted to extremely old people, therefore calling you perverted, if you see a campaign of older people through your peripheral, seeing gray hair, you see the peripheral, you see that through your peripheral, you know that they're trying to trigger you. They're using, crippled people, handicapped people to see how you feel about that. See if you're turned on sexually by them. If you see all that through your peripheral, don't pay no attention to it. And this is serious. This is how it is. This is why they're suffering right now, because they've been doing so many campaigns. The American community has been doing so many campaigns that everybody's suffering now. The whole community has changed. That's the price of playing these campaign games. Yeah, it's fun to your country. Your whole country is suffering. It's fun to everybody is suffering now. Now everybody's suffering. Now it's not fun anymore, is it? That's how that works. That's how that works. You can't be out here trying to trigger people and thinking that you're not going to bring detriment onto innocent people. That's what they did. They brought detriment onto themselves. You know what I mean? And ain't nobody to blame. Ain't nobody to blame but themselves. Now they want to look at you. They want to continue to press you. Oh, well, if that happened, we're going to keep doing it. You ain't going to do nothing but bring more and more detriment. More and more detriment. And that's just what it is. I'm trying to show you what to be aware of. I'm trying to show you that all the stuff that's in society that they're doing, all the stuff that you see and then you blame yourself, that ain't you. That's them. Anytime you feel that feeling, most likely, oh, did I do something wrong? No, they've some way triggered you. And see, me, I've gotten to the point where I can hear, I can see, hear, smell. I know all the triggers and stuff they're trying to use. Now, here's the thing: you don't get crazy with identifying these triggers. You don't coexist with them either. You know what they're doing, and you separate yourself from their community. You know, nobody's born yesterday. See, what they try to hold you on is, see, you crazy. You think it's something there that's not there. You know it's there. And God knows it's there. You don't have to convince everybody that they're doing triggers in society. That's a 7. You will not convince everybody. You will not convince everybody that they're doing these things out here. There's no way you can get everybody in your family to believe this. In a perfect world, you could get everyone to see what you see. But it's not a perfect world. So therefore, there's going to be some family members that you're really close to that are not going to believe you. They're going to think that you're not that important enough for somebody to do that. And in fact, they may not know how important you really are. They may not know. All your family is not going to know how important you are. They're not going to know how powerful you are. Some of them have glimpses of it. They get a glimpse of how powerful you are, but they don't realize how influential and all of those things you've become in your community. And so they don't understand. When you tell them you're being triggered, they don't understand the full stature of who you are. They don't understand the impact that you've already had on your community, whether it be good or bad. They don't know the impact that you've had. Therefore, how can they tell you you're not that important? They don't even know how important you are. So you can't, that's the first thing your friends and family would try to talk you out of. Well, why would they want to do that to you? Well, you don't know who I am. And so when you understand this, you don't allow family to do a trigger either. That's a 7. Because then your family is attacking your real identity. You got the enemy attacking you with fake, false images of who you are. And then you have family trying to tell you who you are not, or how big you really are. You know, they trying to tell you who you are too. In so many ways. And so they may come around to admitting it. Yes, you are special. Yes, you are, you are someone of high rank. They may come to terms with it over time. But meanwhile, you need to be on guard, allowing no one to trigger you of a false image, period. Of any false images of you that you know is not you. I don't care who it is, mother, father, whoever it is. They are human beings incapable of totally seeing who you are. You know more about yourself than they do. You know the inner talkings and the inner power that you have. You know the elevation that you're going through. They are not there to go through that inside of you internally. They don't know what you're becoming. They don't know who you are. They don't know the inner talkings, the things that you hear and the things you perceive. They don't know the inner ongoing, growth that's going on in you. They don't know these things that's going on. So you can never let anyone have power over you. I don't care who it is. You know more about you than they do. You know what your real level is. You got to get this part so that you understand triggers. You got to get this part. Because if you listen to your family, you gonna think you tripping. You gonna think you going crazy. But you understand your rank, you understand your level, and therefore you understand that these triggers are against who you are. So if your family don't know who you are, how can they tell you you ain't being triggered? That's a 7. How they gonna tell you it ain't real when they don't know how big you are? When they don't know how powerful you are, how they gonna tell you that ain't real? Now, if they understood who you totally are, then they would say, well, you are who you are, so that's probably why that's happening. But if they don't have no concept of that, or the full concept, or they leave out parts, then you can't even trust their judgment on the situation, now can you? You can't trust these doctors. You can't trust their judgment on it either, because they're not even in the spiritual realm. They're not in that. They can't operate like that. So how they gonna tell you when you're being spiritually, the difference between spiritual attacks and mental and mental sickness that other people have? See, the thing about the doctors is they don't know the difference between spiritual attacks and mental sickness. That's a 7. Al. Oh yeah, you thought you knew. There's a difference between spiritual warfare and mental sickness. That's why I made it clear. Some people are not going through anything. They're mentally sick and they need medication. Then you have people that are being spiritually attacked by the satanic kingdom, and it is real. It is real. And you cannot let these